What up, Dokkanners? Which unit is better, Spirit Bomb Z or Spirit Bomb GT? In today's video, we're going to be diving in and taking a look at which unit is better based on all of the info that we got here on the Dokkan Wiki. But I would like to stress that even with all of this theoretical talk, there's always the practical element that you have to consider. So make sure that even if you're watching this, to go check out some showcases either from JP Dokkan channels. If you're watching this before the 8th anniversary has begun, check out JP content for this. Or if you're watching this after the anniversary has begun and the 8th anniversary banners have come out, make sure to check out some showcases on not only my channel, but other global content creators as well, because that way you can see how people are using these units differently, overall what their experiences have been like. This will provide a very important level of context that simple theoretical talk just won't do. So that being said, if you guys are enjoying the 8th anniversary preview content on the channel, if you guys are enjoying all the hype building up for the 8th anniversary, make sure you guys subscribe. We are trying to hit 70,000 subscribers before the start of the 8-year anniversary, and the support has been incredible. So guys, thank you so much. We are 15 days away from the start of the 8-year as of me posting this video. So that being said, let's jump in. Let's talk about it. So I put all this down on paper to kind of show like a side-by-side comparison, but honestly, some parts of this is very hard to do. So instead of doing the round by round comparison, I kind of just want to tie it all together. So normally this would be like a round 1 goes to passive, round 2 goes to super attack. It's very hard to do that. Like the entire kit really ties in to everything else. Super attack, passive, standby, they all directly correlate to one another in a major way. So it's very hard to isolate, but we'll just do this for comparison's sake. Attack and defense plus 200 plus an additional attack and defense plus 50. This is, by the way, everything in white is what both units can do. This is all everything that they have in common. It's this one little thing at the end that is different. So attack and defense plus 200 plus an additional attack and defense plus 50 when HP is 50% or more, plus an additional defense plus 100 and an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained as the first attacker in a turn, plus an additional attack plus 100 and an additional key plus 2 per key sphere obtained as the second attacker or third attacker in a turn. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack when key is 18. Launches an additional super attack when key is 24. So this is what both units are capable of doing, and right then and there, that just shows you, that just sets the standard. These two units are insanely good just based on that. So even if one might be better than the other and maybe that makes you sad, just know that the losing unit is still incredibly good and a cut above every other Dokkan unit. Plus an additional key plus 1, that's also what they have in common, and reduces damage received by 10% up to 50 with each super attack performed. This is what the Spirit Bomb GT can do, whereas Spirit Bomb Z gets an additional key plus 1, chance to perform a critical hit plus 10% up to 50 with each super attack performed. Now, strictly just based on this, I would say that the reduced damage is better. This is a universal mechanic. This carries over to not just, you know, the one instance of the attack, but it carries over to defense as well. This will provide a more stable slot 1 defense if you want to keep this guy in slot 1 with the extra defense plus 100. If you supplement that with a 50% damage reduction, even pre-super attack, that is much more effective than this unit in slot 1 who has defense plus 100 and a chance to perform a critical hit boosted. So I think in every case, we can all agree that GT is better in this regard, because also you can include critical in your hidden potential. There is no accounting for damage reduction in your hidden potential skill orb system as of yet. There could be something in the future, but as of the 8th anniversary, there is no such thing as a damage reduction skill orb. They have talked about doing that in the future, but still, I think GT is better in this regard. Now, moving on to the super attack, it's very difficult to sort of isolate this because on paper, when you see raising attack permanently, raising defense temporarily, versus raising defense permanently and raising attack temporarily, you would think, just based on common sense, that defense would be better, right? But that is why the bigger picture matters here, because with the added context of damage reduction and with the fact that we're going to be going into the standby skill and all that stuff, I think that GT is actually better off here, but you will see why later on in this video. So I'm just going to kind of leave this one on hold. I'll leave it to you guys for right now. Which one do you think is better? Based on this, most of you are probably going to say Z, but here's the reason why you might want to hold off on that. The standby skill. The standby skill is where we get the new 8th anniversary mechanic, as previously given to us during Golden Week, where Goku was able to do the same thing. Standby is a 5-turn window where basically the situation changes and you could retaliate with one major hit and take out the opponent in one fell swoop. So let's take a look at both standby phases. Both happen for 5 turns. Both can be activated when you fall below 50%, starting from turn 4 after receiving 4 or more attacks during battle. So assuming both hit the same condition right away, both will be transforming on turn 4. So let's see what they do. So for the Spirit Bomb GT, it is more of a revive counter. And for Spirit Bomb Z, it is more of a true standby to finisher direct attack. So we'll start with the Z one. So for this one, as a true standby phase, you are unable to attack. You simply go into stall mode until finish effect is activated or 5 turns have elapsed. Defense plus 250, guards all attacks for 4 turns from the start of the turn, randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, reduces damage received per key sphere obtained by 8%, plus an additional attack plus 500 when performing a super attack. So like I said, you are not attacking at all, you are stalling until you can charge up that Spirit Bomb. All the defense that you've gained up till this point will factor in here. You've got guard, you have an extra defense boost right here, and you've got damage reduction per key sphere obtained. So you are going to be extremely tanky, if not invincible in most cases. But you know, on certain challenge events coming up during the 8th anniversary, that might not necessarily be the case. So now the finisher attack can happen in one of 2 ways. Depending on how many orbs you pick up, depending on how high the charge counter goes within the 5 turn span, or whenever you decide to ultimately attack, that will determine the effectiveness of your actual finisher. If you reach 38 or less ultimately on your charge counter, meaning basically in 5 turns, units collectively only pick up 38 key spheres, then you will do an attack where you temporarily get attack plus 15 per charge counter that you accumulated. So it'll retroactively multiply and give you that extra boost. So if you're below 30, if you're 38 or below, you will do 15% attack boost per charge counter, cause ultimate damage. The better one with the Super Spirit Bomb is if you were able to obtain 39 or higher on your charge counter. And after 5 turns, I would say that this is going to be relatively easy to do, because this basically means you're going to have 5 turns, actually 4 turns of 3 units, that's 12, plus 2 more, so that's 14 units. So assuming all 14 units and the 15th unit, the last unit in slot 3 on turn 5 is your finisher, you will have 14 units picking up at least 2 keys. Actually, you'd have to pick up 3 so that you could go past 39. So if each unit picked up 3 key spheres, you would be able to reach a charge counter of 39 or above. Temporarily raise attack plus 20% per charge counter accumulated causes super ultimate damage to the enemy. So this is going to do, obviously, a ton of damage. Now, to put this into perspective, assuming every single unit from turn 1 to the end of turn 5, so all 14 units pick up 23 key spheres each, which is impossible to, it's like a statistically impossible thing to happen. But if every unit were to pick up every single orb on the field, going into the final attack on slot 3 of turn 5, and you've got max links, and this unit is rainbowed, you could do as high as 155 million damage. Now, this is obviously never going to happen for any of you, but that's an astounding number, and it's basically illustrating the point that, you know, the better off you are picking up those orbs, the better the conditions are. You could do some insane damage on this unit, and this is going to be way more than what you could potentially be doing with the Spirit Bomb GT. So there is a possibility for higher damage output, but the conditions are very steep to accomplish that, but you can do some good damage. So with all of that being said, now let's take a look at the Spirit Bomb GT. Now this guy is a revived counter. So in terms of how it's built in the more conventional sense, because now you are simply exchanging from Spirit Bomb GT with both of these guys together into basically Super Saiyan Vegeta and the Z fighters basically kind of stalling while Goku is doing the Spirit Bomb in the back. So here you have a super attack arsenal. So you greatly raise attack for 1 turn, cause colossal. You greatly raise attack for 1 turn, cause mega colossal, and raise superclass allies attack by 40% for 1 turn. Attack plus 250, plus an additional defense plus 150 when HP is 50% or above. All allies key plus 8 and attack plus 80%, and then revives with 100% HP when the character or an ally attacking in the same turn gets KO'd, plus an additional attack plus 39 when performing a finish attack. The finish attack is the revived counter itself. Counters with extreme power against the opponent who KOs the character or an ally attacking in the same turn can be activated when the revival skill is activated. So what this basically means is you are simply swapping your built-up attack raising force with a Super Saiyan Vegeta, who will then be launching these attacks. And then if you happen to die that turn, or your allies on the turn, you will revive counter with all of that built-up attack. You will revive and then hit back with extreme power. This is the JP translation. I would imagine that this will probably end up being super intense power on global, which I believe is the highest damage multiplier for a counter. I believe up until this point it's been ferocious, which is what the Golden Week Goku Gohan was from last year. I think that was the highest, and now this should be higher than that. So this is going to hit insanely hard. The ease of use on this revive counter is obviously much better because this doesn't involve having to stall and deliberately pick up a bunch of key spheres, you know, and waiting for the ultimate finisher. You are simply just continuing to play the game as normal. So you're kind of seeing my bias kick in here. I personally feel like the Spirit Bomb GT is better overall because of the fact that when you swap over to this, you will basically just have to wait for one of the units on your rotations to get killed. And if that happens, you just come right back. There's no HP restriction. You don't have to enter a turn when your health is below a certain threshold, sort of like the 6-year anniversary units. You simply just have to exist. And if anybody gets KO'd, you will revive and you will hit back with all of the built-up attack that you have been accumulating all this time. Now, assuming you transform on turn 4, assuming all the conditions are optimal, so up until that point, you are raising your attack as much as possible, you have max links, max synergy, all the possible conditions to make this unit as destructive as possible. The calculations showed that you would do about 45 million damage on the revive counter. So obviously, compared to the Spirit Bomb, the Super Spirit Bomb doing 155 in its peak conditions, it doesn't even compare. But the point is, there's a lot more that can be done to adjust these numbers. Obviously, the impractical setting of having max links, 23 key spheres picked up, that's not going to happen. But the potential for damage is much higher on the Spirit Bomb Z as opposed to the Spirit Bomb GT in that one way. But then when you factor in that if you were to infinitely stack attack and not transform on turn 4, instead you wait longer and you let this guy stack more attack, more and more, then when this guy ultimately swaps and then hits you with the revive counter, you could do so much more than 45 million. So I think all of those things considered, and the ease of use, the barrier of entry, I think that the Spirit Bomb GT is overall the better unit because it can do so much more and provide so much more damage for a lesser amount of conditions. So I think that is ultimately going to be my answer here. Now, in terms of like doing comparisons, I also included links, but honestly, both links are good. Categories are good. Spirit Bomb Z actually has one more category than GT, which is surprising. So, I mean, it really just boils down to what you prefer at that point. But I think based on these 3 components, passive skill, super attack, and standby skill, I think overall Spirit Bomb GT is better, but both units are still insanely good. And I know for a little while, there was a lot of conversation about Spirit Bomb Z. JP players, I think, were kind of down on what the unit was overall able to do. And then slowly but surely over time, the general conversation, the consensus sort of came back up in favor of Spirit Bomb Z. So I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that this charge, counter, finisher mechanic maybe just isn't everybody's cup of tea, potentially. I could say from personal experience that I am not a fan of having to sit there and stall. I would like to just get the attack. So, you know, if I know that if one of my units got murdered on that turn and then I just get a revive counter right away, I would just go gung-ho and just jump in and do whatever I want and then hopefully get that revive counter. That's just me. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the units. I will ultimately make my final decision when I get to try them out on the field. But in the meantime, I think that it is a safe assessment to say that Spirit Bomb GT edges out Spirit Bomb Z overall based on kit, based on super attack, passive and active skill, standby skill, finisher, everything. I think that is where I stand. But let me know what you guys think, because I would love to hear from you guys. JP players, you know, share your thoughts in the comments down below. Global players, based on what you read, based on your play style, maybe based on your teams, do you think that Spirit Bomb Z is going to be better for you? Or do you think that GT will be doing the trick? That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on these 2 units and the comparison between them. Which unit is better for you? Are you excited for the anniversary? Does this either increase your anniversary hype or decrease it? Are you maybe perhaps more looking forward to future units that have standby finishers or revive counters? Let me know some thoughts about those potential units in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you let YouTube know when I see more of my stuff. Thanks again. Stay tuned and remember to Dokkan responsibly.